Hi, and welcome to Cujo Sound. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about victory gong and more about how to mask transitions in music. If you don't know what victory gong is, let me quickly explain it. Victory gong is sort of when combat ends in games or you achieved something specific. The music very abruptly stops or changes, or there is some sort of indicator that you have won the combat or you're doing something right, or in other ways trying to tell you that something has ended, something has started, or similar. The game that we're going to analyze today, and I'll show you some examples from it, is Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is the latest in the Uncharted series. But it could actually have been any of the Uncharted games, as they use it quite a lot. The thing is that the Uncharted series is basically a mastery in victory gongs because they use it a lot and it's well done. But there are hundreds of games out there that actually do this. In The Last of Us, funny enough, also a Naughty Dog game, they also do it quite a lot. But in the old and more famously used Gears of War games, there is this sort of victory gong sound that is kind of famous for how it works, and that's basically, I think, where the term actually comes from. But anyway, let's take a look at some combat footage here in Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. And I'll try to keep this video spoiler free. You may see some stuff from the game, but it shouldn't really spoil anything for you in terms of the story of the game, just so you know.
Last of them.
Nadine, can I have a word?
What? Just following your example?
Hey! Have them right here! By the pillar!
Damn it, they see us!
Let's make this quick.
Oh, Fraser, get over here! Just in time. Sure thing.
So what happens here in the footage that you see is that we have combat. There is combat music in the background, but once the last enemy has been killed and combat ends, the music stops. It does so by having a small transition sound, because if the music just stopped abruptly, it would sound weird. Or if it changed from one piece of music to another abruptly, it would also sound weird.
All clear.
Let's see what we've got here.
So if you imagine these two tracks of music basically playing, it doesn't matter if the track that we're transitioning to may be silence or another piece of music, it's more the transition that's important. So if we have two tracks, they're basically hitting each other like this, and if we just transition between them straight up or crossfaded between them, it might sound a little weird. In video games, we could also have this scenario that the track and the music that you're listening to right now is built up of several tracks. The beat, the bass, and whatever strings and some music on top, musical instruments and so on. Could be several layers playing at the same time so that there's randomization in the different layers, and that causes problems when we do transitions like these because you might not exactly know where in the song are we right now. So in order to make this transition, we have this piece called a stinger, or some call it a stinger, some call it a transition piece, it doesn't really matter, which plays when the music is supposed to stop, and then it sort of ends the current track. We can set it in Wwise and Fmod and other middlewares, or in this case probably Sony's own in-house legacy tools, or Scream, as I know that they've been using before. It will trigger on the beat that this transition will play, so that the song actually sounds like it's naturally ending or it's transitioning to another piece of the song. So instead of transitioning hard or crossfading, it will simply have this small stinger which is played precisely on beat, goes to another song.
What the? Have them here!
Oh, this should be fun.
Victory Gong can be quite efficient in terms of gameplay communication, which is one of my big topics that I usually talk a lot about. And that is that once combat ends, you can hear that combat ends. And that's a big advantage to you because as long as the music is playing, you know that there's an enemy left. That may tell you that you should still stay in cover, or you should start looking for the last enemy, or something's wrong, similar to that. And it's really, really useful. In Uncharted, the combat scenes are often called encounters, so you encounter this combat spot, combat starts, combat music starts, and plays for the duration of the combat, and then ends, and usually goes into silence.
We're clear.
Just like I planned.
In certain other games, there are sort of, let's say, levels of combat where, let's say, if combat is ending, instead of ending, you go to the next level. You have the next wave of enemies coming or similar. Then you would also have a stinger or some sort of transition to go between them. When I was working on Hitman, we would normally have these stinger transitions to play whenever you would go from regular, casual, ambient music. But then once you went into combat, or if you shot someone and the enemy was looking for you, you would have sort of stealthy or combat or suspicious music playing. And it would go into casual, original, ambient music again at some point. These transitions are all made by having stingers play, so that we have individual stingers from whatever layer you're currently playing to the other layer. So they were all matched, so that they would always fit in time. It could be done in many ways, but those are some of the ways to do it. Now let's take a look at some of the combat here in Uncharted, so you might get an idea of how to use the Victory Gong if you do so in your game.
You check that way. I will go this way. Talk to me. Anything. Negative. Shit. Where did they go? Spread out and
Get out there!
oh, shit.
After that, that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe if you liked it. And don't forget to go to patreon.com/Cujo Sound if you really enjoyed this video, because over there you can financially support me. It's not a necessity or something that's mandatory for you to do, but if you do so, then you help me afford take the time off that it takes for me to create all these videos. And I would really, really appreciate it, because I have a very, very busy sound designing schedule, and I can actually buy a beer once in a while. Anyway, thank you for watching. Let's watch some Uncharted, and I'll see you next time.
Make sure I'm doing good.
Does it now?
Half price if you buy two.
Wow.